Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today for the latest edition, the festive edition of the NORA Winners Webcast. The difference between the NORA Winners Webcast and the regular webcast we had up to the NORA's event on the 10th of November is that in this series, what we're doing is we're speaking with the companies who have been fortunate enough to walk away with a NORA trophy in their pocket. Well, maybe not in their pocket, it's a bit large for that, but walking away with the prize from the NORAs. Our very special guest today is, of course, a winner and very significant winner too, because it's a winner of our Best Major Employer award. Just to recap, the NORAs are nominated by job seekers themselves. Job seekers nominate their favourite recruitment websites. Now, it might seem a bit odd that anyone would have a favourite recruitment website, but wherever people can express preference, that we ask to. And what we ask our judges then to do is to assess all websites from the perspective of job seekers. So the candidate experience is everything. And that's certainly one of the things I'm going to be getting into with my guest today. So without too much further ado, let's bring Richard Gordon to the screen. Richard, good afternoon. How the devil are you?
Afternoon, Stephen. Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Very welcome. Good to have you here. So, are you feeling festive yet? Are you holding off on the on that feeling of Christmas until you get work stuff out of the way?
No, I'm trying to get into the mood. I mean, we cancelled our kind of team get together last week, which was a bit of a shame, but obviously felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But the team's all getting together virtually in a couple of days' time to have a few virtual drinks, and we'll make sure that we're celebrating somehow. I'm just trying to hope that we really stay clear of COVID as a family until Christmas Day, and we can all get together, and then it's fair game.
I think everyone, once we hit the 10 days to Christmas point, then people are thinking, if I get it now, then I'm going to be isolating over Christmas, and that's not clever, especially if I'm hoping to be with family and extended family, then that's going to be tricky. So we're all in that zone of tiptoeing around, just to be absolutely sure. Yes. So back on topic for this afternoon, you are with Entain. Can you give us a bit of background about yourself and Entain for people who aren't fully aware?
Yeah, of course. I'm Rich Gordon. I'm head of employer brand and attraction at Entain. What that means is myself and my team, we're responsible for what we do to attract people to the business, and responsible for all kind of content externally and internally. So looking after our things like our career sites, our career social media channels, what we do on kind of job boards and any other kind of recruitment marketing activities, looking after our employee referral program, onboarding fits with my team as well. So making sure that the candidate experience is kind of joined up right through from kind of somebody first kind of finding out about Entain through to them joining us for the first 90 days. Yeah. And we've got our fingers in all sorts of other pies as well. We're always seen as a bit of an internal brand team in many respects. And Entain, I won't pretend that everybody knows us, but as a business, you will know our brands. So, we own Ladbrokes, Coral, bwin, Party Poker, about 25 other betting and gaming brands. So, many people watching probably will have played with us. So it's a very big business, about 25,000 people now.
Wow, and a turnover in the billion. So in terms of size of organisation, when we talk about major employers, then not only is Entain large in scale, but the brands are exceptionally visible on the high streets up and down the country and online, of course.
Oh, hugely. And I think it's, one of our big stats as a business is we've had 23 consecutive quarters of double-digit growth online.
Wow.
So it's hugely successful. The biggest or most successful stock, I think, in the FTSE 100 this year. So the business has been doing very well, but kind of commercially in particular.
I imagine, without drilling into the whys and wherefores, but I imagine that lockdown and the pandemic would have been good for Entain brands in the same way as they're good for Amazon, in that people are logging into entertainment from home, and again, the likes of Netflix and Prime. So all of these services where people are accessing services from home, then you can see the growth happening there.
It was good for our digital estate. Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I think what was quite interesting was how people, who would often kind of maybe place bets with us on football or horse racing, and that wasn't happening at the beginning of lockdown last year. So I think table tennis became like our most popular sport for a month or two, or
really?
Belarusian football. So people gravitated to different sports or to different countries to kind of make sure they were able to continue kind of playing with us. So that was fascinating. Obviously, our retail estate was closed for a number of months. Been impacted kind of this and last year and this year, but we furloughed, had to furlough our retail staff, but we didn't make any redundancies due to COVID in the retail estate. So the business has come out of that and is doing really well, since things eased up in the summer.
So that would make a big difference from an employment and hiring perspective, and obviously impacts on yourself and in the employer branding side of things, and good for any business to have both wings that one supports the other and one lends brand value to the other. So, as you say, Entain is the overall organisation, and there are a number of very well-known brands under there. But Entain is a new brand in itself in the last year, just over a year ago, where there was a change of branding from GVC, and again for the same reasons. People might not have had GVC as a brand in their mind, but they would know all of the other brands. How did the rebranding come about? What were the drivers behind the rebranding, and what did that mean for you as an employment branding expert?
Yeah, it was just over a year ago. It was about 9th or 10th of December, I think. Me and my team were up early at kind of 6 a.m. on the 10th to change all our kind of assets over. The rebrand was driven by kind of the CEO at the time, Shay Stegev. So he had a vision and a mission that he was fairly new at the time, and he wanted to kind of I think drive bigger change across the organization. What GVC had started as in, I think, probably 2004 was a small kind of venture capitalist firm. It had grown. It had taken over far bigger businesses through acquiring kind of Ladbrokes Coral in, I think it was like 2016 or 2017, and the business had changed beyond all recognition. So it was a chance to kind of really change the way the business operated. I think it was I wanted a name that resonated with the sector in which we operate. Sort of a play with entertainment there.
Of course.
Wanted a business name and vision that kind of talked about our focus on technology and on growth. So, yes, we have 2,500 retail stores, but actually the business's growth in the future is going to be digital. And not just through kind of your standard kind of ladbrokes.com and things like that. There'll be businesses moving into esports. We made some acquisitions in that sector earlier this year. So we needed something that was a bit more kind of future-proof and representative of the business. Now, I can't pretend that I was involved in that rebranding exercise. I wasn't. That was driven by the CEO and the exco. But obviously, it had massive impact for us as a employer brand function. So, it was tough. Like, I knew about it probably in August or September last year, but I was one of only about 40 people who knew about it, that it was coming. And I couldn't tell my team until about a month beforehand. So there was a lot of kind of secret meetings that I was involved with, and we had to. No, it's a huge amount of planning to go into rebranding our career site, changing every asset that we have externally in terms of our logo, our how we talk about ourselves. Everything was kind of revamped. So
it's not just a case of running a search and replace to replace the GVC logo for Entain.
I wish it was that simple.
It's not that simple.
Not at all. The kind of the company bio, as it was, all that kind of was updated and had to be changed. What was quite interesting was actually we when we were GVC, we had a kind of the key EVP for us was aligned for the good of entertainment, and that was actually adopted as the company strapline when we rebranded. And there's kind of no better endorsement as an employer brand function as the company actually taking your EVP and using it as the whole company strapline. So to the day-to-day, in the business, probably not a lot changed, but actually it meant quite a lot to the markets and to the how we position the business moving forward.
It's an area that I find really fascinating. Years ago, we had a winner of the same award, which was Virgin Atlantic. They won the Best Major Employer Award, and I remember. Oh goodness, she'll kill me for not remembering her name now. But the person with Virgin Atlantic explained to me, and actually she came along to do one of her RecX talks, that one of the big challenges that they had was keeping the employer brand message and the experience for candidates as read as the Virgin Atlantic consumer brand. Now, what you have is a whole series of consumer brands which are very well known. Entain and GVC would be the same, but Entain is not a consumer brand, but is an employer brand because people within the organization will relate to other parts of the organization and know that they're part of the same team effectively, and that culture spans across those brands. So whether you're in digital or retail in person, then there's a camaraderie that runs across there. Do you have within the organization people who will switch from brand to brand? Is that a thing within the business?
Yeah, we go to market predominantly as Entain when it comes to kind of recruitment and attraction. So we definitely pull on our brands. So some of our comms do talk about we're home to 25 brands. You've heard of us basically. The exception to that is for retail roles where if you go on Indeed, for example, you'll find our jobs listed as Ladbrokes and Coral purely because that's what people are searching for. They know the person on the street, that's what they will. They see Ladbrokes and Coral, they know who we are. They see Entain, we don't. But within kind of the biggest growth areas for the business in terms of things like anything kind of digital or software engineering or business analytics, marketing, insight roles, where we're going to have huge amount of growth over the coming years, we're really trying to press home the Entain name and kind of embed that with candidates.
So on the branding and culture side of things, I know that an organization's culture is an aggregate, an amalgamation of the personalities of everyone in the business, led, of course, by whoever's running the show, and that's also informed by who you're hiring. Whenever, and if we think about it in recruitment terms, whenever someone moves from one job to another, it's an opportunity to kind of reinvent themselves, to become a more focused version of themselves, where they slightly change what they're about, and they'll prioritize one thing over another. In changing brands from an employer brand point of view, does that help you to refocus, to become the brand that you were aspiring to be from an employment point of view? Am I thinking about this wrong?
No, I think I think it really did give us a chance to change a lot, and I'm in quite a unique position in many respects because of the nature of the business. So there isn't a consumer facing Entain brand necessarily. the Entain is aimed at candidates and it's aimed at investors, really. That those are the people that matter. So for what I want to do, there's actually a real, unlike many other kind of employer brand and recruitment marketing teams, we don't have to get buy-in from brand or from marketing. I actually have quite a lot free reign in terms of being able to kind of create content that I want to do, to be able to shape the kind of the messaging and the kind of the tone of voice and how we promote ourselves as an employer, which is really refreshing and quite freeing. And it's the change of name really gave us a chance to actually, the whole look and feel of the business changed, and we're still kind of adapting that even now to how we talk about our people and our careers. Where the look and feel of GVC was quite playful, quite frivolous in some respects. Entain's, it's more serious, it's more technologically led. So it's how we talk about ourselves, how we the imagery, the creative that we're using is a huge change. So actually, if you compare then and now in a year, the way that the business portrays itself is far more grown up. It allowed us to do a lot.
I might be getting it wrong, but and GVC were a finalist for this same award in years gone past. But from my point of view, the brand to me seems more purposeful. It's brighter, it's more colourful, and there's a lot more use of video, for example, and there's more insight to what the wider organisation is about by the use of video and authentic video generated by employees. But the brand overall seems more purposeful and with direction. Is that in the right ballpark?
Yes, spot on. I think that when when as part of the rebrand, there was we didn't really have a stated mission or vision or purpose necessarily as GVC, and that was part of what we brought in when kind of as part of the rebrand. So actually, that really helped to inform a lot of kind of what we do moving forward in terms of what we need to create content on. We had, as part of the GVC employer brand, we had kind of some 4 values that kind of were almost jettisoned as part of the rebrand. And it's only now that we've I think in the past, about 6 months ago or 5 months ago, the business kind of launched 5 new values. And it's only now that we're starting to kind of re-embed those back into the business. They're new. So it's been a bits all over the place. The rebrand happened very, very quickly. I think rebrand of a business of our size and complexity would often take about a year. It took 5 months. So a lot was done in a very short time. We're still playing catch up in some respects.
So in terms of, you've got your culture and your values, you'll go through the process of determining, okay, what are our culture and values? Let's just reassess that so that we know that we're coming for the right direction here. In putting to build the initial brief, how did you go about that, and who did you partner with to realize what you wanted to see on your website?
Yeah, so we work with an agency. So we work with PH Creative, who've been our kind of lead employer brand agency for a number of years now. So we work very closely with them. We work. I've got a member of my team that I work particularly closely with when it comes to our website and our content. So we closely align in terms of actually the type of content that we want to see on the site and kind of the breadth and depth. And it's something we're actively looking at all the time. So what you see now is not what you'll see in 3 months or 4 months, for example, because there are a lot of changes we want to make. What I think is really important is to not just take our vision and run with it, but actually engage more people across the business. It's talking to the TA team, it's talking to DNI, it's talking to reward, it's talking to lead learning and development, actually making sure that what we have on the site is really representative of what it's like to work here. And there are areas at the moment where I think it's really strong, as evidenced by the award. But even now, there are areas where I think we still lack a little bit of depth. And it's about talking to the right people, engaging the right people in the business. We have a spreadsheet, a list of names of like, if we wanted to change this or change that, or who do we need to talk to? We know who to go to. So it's quite a big cross-functional piece of work.
Yeah. Would you mind? Can I share the Entain website? Because there's a couple of things that I'm keen to ask about, just to so that the audience know what we're referencing. So I'm just going to choose this to share. So can you see my screen coming up now? Okay. So I'm looking at the website. The first thing that obviously stands out, we've got a hero video here, which is very bright, very much in your face. And the first thing that I can tell is this is a site that's been designed for mobile first. The layout tells me that it's unfussy, and this would translate well to being shown on small screens, on tablets, on smartphones, and so on. So you've got this straight away. And again, the menus at the top, we don't have lots of sub menus there, so it's simple to go through and easy to access. Obviously, you've got your addressing to COVID up there, and straight away you've got the search for your next role here. What was your thinking about the first thing that people will see when they come to the website?
I think getting across our personality is really important. I think there's a big emphasis on culture here, and that's it's because of the way the business is growing, both kind of organically and through a lot of acquisitions as well. It's growing rapidly, and there's a real emphasis on making sure that people are the right fit. And so I think rather than welcoming people with a load of kind of heavy copy, I think having strong imagery, whether it's a video like this, or kind of more static photo shoot shots, I think it's just a nice way of kind of bringing people into what it's like to work here.
My impression is, so when I see video in a window like this, it quite literally gives me an impression that I'm looking through a window into the business. So when I see people and not always especially formal that are involved in the business, then that gives me that insight, that peek behind the scenes, and so you're literally looking in a window into the business, which is great to see. So in scrolling down again, we've got Michael and Joe. We've got a video here giving an insight to the business, and life at Entain is obviously very important. In each of these, we see that there's videos behind each of them. There's much more engaging content, and the colours stand out. The purple with the black. It's all very. As I was saying at the start, this will work really well on mobile screens. And in the bottom, we can see all the brands here. In the bottom here, what we can see are employer-generated video content. I'm just going to click on this. So,
hello, my name's Stephen Bryson, and I work for Lab.
I'll just mute Stephen here. But again, these are videos that clearly someone's been, a selfie video of themselves, and you can get that peek behind the scenes. And what we've got here are more of these videos that have been generated by people across the business. And as we know now that prospective employees are researching companies much more actively than ever before. And this enables people to find the content they're looking for within the Entain site, rather than having to scour whether it be YouTube or LinkedIn to get that background. You've curated this, and you've done it in a relatively informal way so that people can relate to the people. And one of the great things is, of course, it's literally showcasing your diversity. People can see other staff in the organization and relate to them, think, oh yeah, I could work alongside them. I could see that person being my boss or colleague, and I can picture myself in the organization. So in putting this together, there's a big job in collecting and generating all this content. How did you set about that?
Yeah, so this is fed by a platform called iSIMS Video Studio. So it used to be known as Altru. And how it works is that we can, ideally, we have employees download an app, the iSIMS app, and what we're able to do is send them questions to answer on the app. So they get a notification to say, oh, there's a new question on iSIMS, for example. Could you record an answer to this? And it's really up to them to respond. And what that does, it feeds into a dashboard that me and my team can access. We can edit it, we can brand it, we can tag it, and we can add it into feeds like this. We have other feeds on other specific pages. So if you're on the retail page, there should be kind of retail specific videos. So you
can curate this feed and select the ones that look good. Any that are a bit either maybe they're missing the mark or they're not filmed very well and not clearly enough, you can set them aside and choose.
Even with these kind of UGC, where obviously there's going to be rough and ready, there's going to be ums and ahs. There is definitely an element of quality control in here as well. I'm not going to lie. We have, sometimes we might run initiatives within the business to encourage more people to submit these videos. And you get people saying, oh, this is my entry into, like, okay, no, we can't use that. So we have to watch them. It's not like
and you can trim them where need be to do all the things that
so iSIMS is quite clever in that respect, in that you can log in, you cut and bits out that you want, and brand them up if you need to. So it's a nice insight into what it's like to work here.
Fantastic.
And as you pointed out, this is a tool that we make available globally. What's tough is kind of making sure that you're refreshing this content, keeping up to date, getting new people involved. And that's something we're actually trying to nurture at the moment. We've in this past year we've set up an Entain ambassador scheme, and what we're hoping there is that we've got a group of people globally, not just in Philippines and Austria and UK as is content here, but across all of our kind of countries, who will be able to kind of provide that insight to in any country and any function. So so the content with real people is really important to us.
I'm often asked by employers, how can we make this happen? How can we prompt our staff to do this sort of thing? This is a great example of it being done in practice, and with a bit of imagination and thoughtfulness about how you organize the content, how the aggregate of all of this is actually really represents your culture well and your values, because you're putting your current team front and center. You're saying our staff are our brand, our culture. And again, going into to this with the individual teams where people can dig into it. And as I was saying before, candidates want to do the research. They want to find out who they're applying to before they make the application, and of course, following an application, so they know, this is the organization I'm going to be applying for. When I get to the point where I'm speaking with a hiring manager for an interview, then I'm able to represent myself well in relation to that brand that I can find out about through the Entain website. So as I say, it's really interesting to see how you've done that. In the past year, some people would say it was not enough time, but in the past year, have you been able to measure and understand the behaviours of candidates coming to your website, and what has that told you about how you might tweak your site going forward to better serve them?
We do look at our site analytics and kind of see what kind of content kind of resonates well. That Life at Entain blog, for example. Those are that sometimes are written by my team, sometimes they're written by other people within the business. And actually they're really good entry points into finding out more about what it's like to work here. And so that's something that I'm keen to drive more of. And that kind of stuff actually is great content for us as well. We did a great case in point. Actually, we did a a Q&A with one of our head of CRM recently, and that landed so well on social. It's just a written blog, but really interesting, great piece of content for us. And from that we drive people directly to kind of find out and apply for CRM roles. So we're kind of wanting to do more of that. We're refining, I think, what we're going to do with the website over the next probably 5 or 6 months. There's areas where we get messages on social, for example, asking us more about, say, our hiring process, and actually there's not a huge amount about the hiring process on the site at the moment. So we're going to change that. So that will come. So we listen to our candidates. We do NPS surveys and things like that. Once they apply, been through the hiring process. So we have an idea of what works and what doesn't. And it's a case of kind of listening to them and kind of filling gaps really and refining. It's obviously a good website, but I want to make it even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's always a work in progress. So a website is never complete because
I wish it was.
You can't rest on your laurels. I touched on diversity as a target for many organizations, and the use of video to help with your diversity aims, to showcase what you have and to head in the direction that you want to. What technologies, including video, are you using that are helping to make sure that your diversity goals are being achieved?
Yeah, one of the tools that the kind of recruiters in our TA team are using actually is something called Textio. So that's all about kind of making sure that the language of our job ads is accessible. So avoiding terminology that kind of might put off females applying for roles, or making sure that kind of there's no offensive or kind of terminology that's going to kind of turn off people. And that kind of it scores your job ads, and I think that's kind of quite an interesting piece of tech. We're kind of talk, myself, my team, and TA team and the D&I team. We're probably working more closely than ever at the moment. Kind of talking about what partnerships we might want to be kind of setting up for the next year. Whether it might be somebody like Mogul or MyGWork. There are platforms that we're kind of diversity platforms that we're kind of looking at partnering and kind of to improve our kind of D&I, whether it's kind of females in tech or other kind of goals that we've got within the business. We're also kind of producing more content around that. Our video for Pride this year was another award-nominated video, which I'm be happy to share that. We've there's been a real emphasis, and it's not just my team. It's the kind of Sophie and our head of D&I has worked incredibly hard to kind of embed more of those, a better way of thinking across the business. Especially over the last year, and we've worked hard with her on creating some of that content and helping her to amplify it. So we're doing more than ever. We've still got a lot to do as a business. There are locations where we might struggle with particular demographics. There are functions, especially in being a tech business, where we struggle. We've partnered with Girls Who Code this year to get more kind of young girls into kind of STEM subjects and to kind of technology. And there are other partnerships kind of coming as well. So it's a real big focus for us as a business to invest in kind of these kind of CSR and charity partnerships.
As you mentioned, the development of the site is ongoing; it never stops. But what trends are you seeing from the demands of job seekers whose expectation levels are always rising based on whatever sites they're on online, not just recruitment websites, that will be fed into the ongoing development of the site? What direction are you going in to meet those demands?
one of the biggest things for us, and this is going to add a whole nother layer of complexity, is so at the moment the site is purely in English, but actually we are a global business. We have operations in Spain and Uruguay and Italy and Belgium. So one thing that we're looking at is making it multilingual, and that's going to challenge. Oh, this is complicated. We're talking to kind of teams in each country, about making sure that the content is representative of them as well. So, if we're adding content around hiring process, for example, the hiring process in Australia will be different from the hiring process in Belgium. So not only do we have to change the content, we have to kind of translate it as well. So, that's probably the biggest change for us at the moment. But actually, you talked about D&I. There's a small section of the site at the moment dedicated to CSR. I think it's got our CSR report on it. It's got we've got sections about safer gambling, which is very important to us and to our people and our candidates.
Of course.
And actually, that's another area of the site we're going to build out a bit more. We're going to talk about our partnerships, because actually candidates want to work for responsible employers. And particularly in our sector, it's really important that we're seen to be doing the right thing. And we are a business that is. I genuinely believe that. And we need to tell that better. And we need to showcase that even more. So there's quite a bit that we're doing on that front. And that will be brought to life in more detail.
Fascinating. We didn't really touch on it so much earlier, but I would imagine that any organization involved in the gaming industry, then candidates will have preconceptions about the business, the type of business, the sector, and it might be that they're a wizard developer that's exactly the person you would want to target, but their preconceptions or their established views on the sector might get in the way of that candidate making an application, and being more open about what you do, how you do it, and how you address the responsibilities of being in the sector. Then that can help open up more candidates to you that otherwise maybe previously wouldn't have applied.
Yeah, and it's those are certainly conversations that our recruiters have. I was recruiting into my team kind of over the past 6 months, and I've had candidates I thought would be a good fit, and they've said, "Oh, actually, no, I'm not keen on the sector after all." So we give the recruiters have materials that they can use to talk about what we do in that space. If somebody has a view or is uncomfortable with it, and I get it, I understand why that might be. We're not always going to be able to change their mind. And
it's not for everyone.
No, absolutely. But at the same token, for the people that do want to work in our sector or they do want to work for our business, we have plenty to tell them about that we're doing as a business that shows we are being responsible, shows that we are investing in research to kind of support problem gambling, that we have incredible technology that spots kind of behavioral patterns that might flag up if somebody looks to be investing more than they should be in betting. So there's a lot that we can showcase to our candidates to show that we do think about our customers, we do put them first.
Fantastic. So the year ahead, obviously, continual challenges. Things are not going to let up. The pandemic is, of course, from an employer branding point of view, everything changes, and pay attention because it's going to change again tomorrow. The site that we're going to be seeing next year and considering potentially as a NORA contender will have moved on quite a bit.
Oh yeah. So a lot of the imagery at the moment that you see was taken because of when the site when it was before GVC, it was before Entain, it says GVC. So some of the photography, there's a lot of people on there that probably left us, and that's unavoidable when you're using Google. That's always going to happen. But it's actually really important to us that the people that you see on our site are Entain employees, that they are real. And so everybody you see there hopefully works for us, but did at one point.
Don't know what happens.
I was lucky enough that we did a UK photo shoot in August. We did Gibraltar in I think September, October. We've got other shoots planned for next year. Touch wood, in Sofia and Philippines. So you will see a lot more of our people, a lot more diversity. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
I think any kind of business that's kind of based in the UK, you can sometimes get a bit, oh, this is the only area that matters. It's not. We are making sure that we're gathering content from the whole business. When we're doing our photo shoots, we're doing video shoots as well. So there's going to be a lot more kind of people content as well. So kind of really honest videos that, yes, we've used kind of third parties as supporters in doing some high quality stuff, but actually the answers are not scripted. It's people really telling it how it is. There are certain themes in there, and some of that actually you'll already see on our socials, on our LinkedIn and Instagram. Some of our talking heads, and the people are so passionate, and we really want to get that across.
Fantastic.
There's some great people in our retail business estate who are they love Ladbrokes and they love Coral, and they couldn't wait to be on camera to talk about it. And actually it's quite infectious seeing them talk about their roles and how they love talking to customers.
So can I ask where have you located your trophy? I'm just going to switch now so we can see we've got
that's
this
Jess.
was accepting the trophy. Where have you positioned it? Is it somewhere prominent in the office? Is it someone got it at home?
No. Previously, I had a few awards trophies behind me on the shelf, but actually, it's in our reception of our office in One New Change in St Paul's. So it's in head office, in kind of on the next to the front desk. So pride of place.
Good to hear. Very good to hear. One of our previous winners was McLaren, and I had cause to visit their plant one day. And I don't know if you've seen the McLaren Technology Centre, but they have a huge trophy cabinet full of silverware of all the Formula One awards they've won over the years. And right in the middle was the NORA that they had won. And I was quite taken aback. So we love to see employers, really, being proud of the achievement and again coming back next year to contend again. So I've noticed we've gone quite a bit over time. My apologies for that. Can I thank you again for being a fantastic guest, Richard, and of course Entain for being such a great entry. Not only I, but the judges really love the website and of course all the additional content that goes along with the website, the YouTube content, the social media and content and so on. So thank you very much again for being my guest today. Thanks everyone who's watching us live, whether it be here on Crowdcast or on any of the social media channels, and of course anyone who's watching on catch up on replay. We have another show coming up on Wednesday this week with S1 Jobs, who have, I think they've won 9 trophies in total for best regional website. So they're going to be with us on Wednesday at 1:00. So until then, I'm going to say thank you very much. Thanks, Richard. Thanks everyone for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.